You're welcome. Let's begin the news this hour by telling you that Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu has extended his heartfelt condolences to the families of the victims of the fire incident caused by an articulated vehicle conveying petrol at the Eleme section of the East-West Road, Port Harcourt, River State. No fewer than 5 persons died in the incident, which occurred on Saturday, which also destroyed more than a dozen vehicles and scourged goods worth billions of naira. Commiserating with the government and people of River State on this tragedy, President Tinubu prayed for the speedy recovery of those injured in the incident. Tinubu's condolence message was contained in a statement signed by his media aide, Ajuri Ngalale, on Sunday. Godsu Jumbo is a public affairs analyst, and he joins me tonight to look at this. Godsu Jumbo, good evening to you. Last time you joined us, you were in Port Harcourt, River State. I'm guessing that's where you're joining us from. But you've had the president commiserating with the people of River State following this unfortunate incident. Beyond the immediate tragedy, what are the long-term safety concerns for people in River State, those plying that East-West Road, Akpajo, Eleme axis, and even Nigerians regarding tanker explosions on the road?
Okay, I think we'll begin by commending the president for showing that empathy, demonstrating sympathy. But I think we need to step forward beyond expressing sympathy to victims of tragedies like this and step up the game of governance in terms of, ensuring, enforcing compliance governance. The tankers and the tanker drivers who transport, inflammable products like premium motor spirits and other chemicals like this. I am sure there are protocols, there are laws that govern how this transportation should be done. We need to look at who is ensuring that these regulatory guidelines, regulatory, protocols are complied with. We need to look at that. We need to look at these people have associations, unions that always jump out whenever sanctions are to be meted out on any of their members. But we also need to look at, as an association, as unions, are they doing what they are supposed to do to ensure that their members comply with safety regulations regarding the job they do? Because look at the massive carnage, look at the unthinkable tragedy that just happened, along the East-West Road. Lives were lost, people coming back from work, people traveled and
Mr. Jumbo, sorry to interject you. You're talking about, the rules and the laws to be complied with by the tanker drivers. But reports from River State refer or mention the dilapidated state of the East-West Road from Rumukursi flyover all the way to the Akpajo Indorama axis down to the refinery junction to Eleme. That corridor is dilapidated, the road that leads to. So is it more of compliance with rules or poor infrastructure?
I was actually coming to that. One is to ensure that those transporting these products comply with the protocols governing what they do. But the other aspect is on the side of the government, the East-West Road has been under construction by every government that has ever governed Nigeria. Every administration has been working on the East-West Road, and especially that axis from the Eleme Junction to Akpajo to Aleto to the Indorama stretch. The whole of that axis has been in a state of trauma every time it is being constructed. And the reason why the casualty rate is on the high side for this particular tragedy is because the road was not good. So the traffic built up over time on the available lane for motorists to use. And so when the tanker exploded and the fire, erupted, it just spread across. And, because the vehicles were compacted, so everybody, was caught up in that inferno. And that is where I was going to. The president should go beyond expressing sympathy, beyond saying sorry, to fixing that road. I would be one of the persons that would be very, excited, that would commend this government, if the debacle of the East-West Road is sorted out in this particular dispensation, it will go a long way. How can we have a road that every day we are constructing it? Every day, even the one they construct is failing. What's going on? What's going on? For almost all of my adult life, that road has been under construction. And look at what has happened. Look at the lives that have been lost. Look at the massive destruction of vehicles and other valuables. And the state of fear that it has even created. When you go there and check out what has happened, you see bodies that are roasted. You see, I mean, the fear.
Mr. Chombo, looking at the videos and pictures, on shown on our screen, these are user-generated content, and some witnesses suggest that there was a slow emergency response. Do you agree with this? And if so, what improvements are needed in emergency response services, particularly in River State, to effectively handle such disasters?
Yes, I agree with you, because the first respondents, to that environment when that thing happened, I mean, no fire service, no health, nothing. Before the police, I mean, the security agencies had to even wait for the governor to call. I mean, don't they have systems through which they gather intelligence? I mean, what are we doing in Nigeria? Do they have to wait for the governor to activate them before they rush down there and assert security governance of the area? I mean, look at that. The health workers were nowhere until a lot has gone wrong. So that is a critical area. And it's not just Rivers State, the whole of Nigeria. Every tragedy that has happened in Nigeria, we always had the emergency response service coming late. A bomb exploded somewhere in Ikeja. How many people were saved from the situation? And buildings have been collapsing in different parts of the country. How many people have been rescued within, in the shortest possible time? The response time for emergencies in Nigeria, I mean, is too long, too high, that, lives will be lost before anybody arrives. That is something, not just the government is pussyfooting on this. I think somebody said Nigerians are hardly angry. Nigerians are complacent. These are questions we need to ask the governing authorities. Something has to happen. The River State Fire Service, what condition is it? How many vehicles in the River State Fire Service are fully active and that can respond to any situation within the shortest possible time?
All right, Mr. Gossip Jumbo, would like to leave it at that. It's a really sad one. I'm looking at the fact that lives were needlessly lost. I've used that road many times, and I can agree with you that that road has been in a state of disrepair for some time now. The last time the indigents of the area blocked the road in protest, the current Senate president, who was then Niger Delta Minister Godswill Akpabio, promised that work was going to start, and he took caterpillars and bulldozers to site, and only for us to see that nothing was done. Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
In the meantime, President Bola Tinubu has insisted that his administration's decision to remove a subsidy on petrol in Nigeria was very necessary to prevent the country from going bankrupt. President Tinubu announced the removal of subsidy on petrol the day he was inaugurated into office with the popular "Subsidy is Gone" speech. The action, however, made prices of commodities rise through the roof in the country, increasing hardship in Nigeria, which has made some of its critics condemn the subsidy removal as a policy not well thought out. But speaking as one of the panelists at the ongoing World Economic Forum, Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, this morning, Tinubu justified the petrol subsidy removal, maintaining that it was needed to reset Nigeria's economy.
Concerning the question of the subsidy removal, there's no doubt And it was a necessary action for my country not to go bankrupt. One, to reset the economy and the pathway to growth. It is going to be difficult, but the hallmark of leadership is taking difficult decisions at the time it ought to be taken decisively. That was necessary for the country. Yes, there have been blowback. There is expectation that the difficulty in it will be felt by a greater number of the people. But for once, I believe it was their interest that is the focus of the government. It is easier to manage and explain the difficulties.
Meanwhile, residents of Lagos and other parts of Nigeria are facing growing frustration as fuel scarcity continues to grip the country. This is coming despite assurances from Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited that logistical hurdles hindering the fuel distribution in the country have been resolved. Long queues and empty pumps are a common sight at petrol stations nationwide. Motorists are spending hours waiting for petrol only to be turned away due to lack of fuel. This has caused significant disruption to daily routines, with many resorting to the black market for fuel at exorbitant prices. Now, many Nigerians have expressed anger and disappointment at the continued scarcity, questioning the effectiveness of NNPCL's claimed solutions. As the situation shows no improvement, Nigerians are wondering when the fuel shortage will finally be resolved and when they can return to their normal routine. The Socioeconomic Rights and Accountability Project has taken legal action against the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited over its alleged failure to account for a staggering $2.04 billion and 164 billion naira in crude oil revenue. SERAP's move comes in response to revelations outlined in the 2020 audited report of the Auditor General of the Federation. According to SERAP, the report indicates that the NNPCL failed to remit these substantial sums to the Federation account, raising suspicion of possible diversion. In a statement issued by SERAP's Deputy Director, Kolawole Oluwadare, the organization expressed deep concern over the missing oil revenue, emphasizing the potential impact on the economic and social rights of Nigerians, lamenting that these diverted funds could have been allocated to vital public services. To politics now, one of the campaign coordinators of the Ondo State Governor, Lucky Ayedatiwa, Alaba Abi, has been assassinated. Abi, who served as a ward coordinator for the Lucky Ayedatiwa campaign organization Foot Soldiers, was killed in his home in Supare, Akoko, in Akoko Southwest local government area of the state. Director General David Ajobewe, who condemned the killing of Abi, stated that the deceased wasn't a violent person. He urged the police operatives to unravel the death of the late campaign coordinator. Now, confirming the incident, the State Police Public Relations Officer Fumilayo Odunlami Omisoya said an investigation is ongoing to help unravel all that happened. A federal high court in Kano State has stepped into the ongoing power struggle within the All Progressives Congress in Kano State. Justice A.M. Liman issued a restraining order preventing the faction of the party's Ganduje Ward Executive Committee in Kano State from suspending National Chairman Abdullahi Umar Ganduje. This decision comes after Ganduje's lawyer, Hadiza Nasir Ahmed, filed an ex parte application amidst rising tensions within the party. The order names Bashiru Nuhu Isa and 25 others, along with law enforcement agencies like the Nigeria Police Force, the Department of State Services, as respondents in the case. This court order demanding that all parties maintain the current status quo marks a critical point in the APC's internal conflict. It effectively halts any actions stemming from the ward's committee's alleged emergency meeting targeting Ganduje's position. The court has postponed further proceedings until May 9, 2024. Until then, the fate of Abdullah Umar Ganduje, the chairman of the APC, remains unclear. Earlier, partner at Fortes and Lots legal practitioners Okiki Adeniro was on the news to discuss this.
It was a good step that the council filed a motion ex parte on behalf of the former governor. As a matter of fact, the council has just one job, and the job is to protect Governor Ganduje from suspension. So now, what has happened now is that the motion ex parte has been heard, and parties have been told to maintain status quo. And to speak to the fact that is there going to be like any results from these and all? Yes, I believe that. Yes, it's a first step. There's still a case before the courts, and it's a case about the fundamental human rights of the former governor Ganduje. And I believe that as time goes on, we'll have more stories.
Candidates of the People's Democratic Party have won the chairmanship position in all 33 local government areas in Saturday's council election in Oyo State. The state's Independent Electoral Commission announced the results on Sunday amidst controversy over irregularities during the voting process. The results were announced at the conference hall of the Oyo State Independent Electoral Commission, Agodi, in Ibadan. After presenting the results from the 33 local government areas where elections took place, the Electoral Commission Chairman, Isiaka Olagunju, affirmed the results and declared the PDP victorious. However, complaints from some local government areas of disruptions and discrepancies noticed during the electoral process, ranging from lateness of materials and personnel to non-availability of the necessary materials in some cases. Welcome back. Reactions have continued to trail the demolition of buildings in the right-of-way of the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Road project. The exercise was flagged off by the Minister of Works of Nigeria, David Umahi. The demolition exercise beginning at the Mani Chula Beach at the Oniru waterfront on Saturday. The minister saying compensation for owners of the affected structures have been adequately factored into the project and urging those affected to see the greater good of the project. The demolition is expected to continue for some days. So to discuss this very hot topic, we have a guest public affairs analyst, Jide Ojo. He joins us via video link. Ms. Ojo, good evening to you. Good to have you on the news tonight. Despite several pleas by individuals, by groups, by organizations, by businesses that this project will affect jobs, livelihoods, the Nigerian government has already begun demolition of the obstructing structures, as we just saw on our screen. When you take a look, a kaleidoscopic view of this project, do the benefits outweigh the possible drawbacks?
Thank you very much. My position is, are we really having value for money for this project? And how do we ensure proper funding? This is a 15 trillion project. Is it a top priority? Is it that there is no road linking Lagos to Cross River State as we speak? Why and where do we intend to source this 15 trillion? And I also learned this will take 8 years. So in the event that this Tinubu administration does not get elected in 2027, will this not become another moribund project, another abandoned project? So those are my concerns. Because if you look at the quantum sum of 15 trillion, I feel that if we sink 15 trillion to maintenance of existing road infrastructure, we will have better quality roads. It is said that the federal road is over 300,000 kilometers. followed by the state and then local government roads. If we are even budgeting 1 trillion every year for road maintenance, the road network in Nigeria will not be in this dilapidated state. So where do we intend to shop for 15 trillion? Because 1 year has gone out of Tinubu administration. This project is to be constructed for 8 years, and now demolition of structures have commenced. Obviously, there is no compensation before the demolition. So again, we are putting the cart before the horse. I feel that those whose buildings were marked for demolition should have been had their property appropriately evaluated and compensated before the demolition, rather than using show of force or using force to demolish these people's homes and then get them to go through the harrowing experiences of chasing after government officials for compensation, which may not be paid as and when due. So those are my concerns. It's not as if we cannot, that we don't need that superhighway. I'm just thinking whether this is a top priority at this point. I'm just thinking where the funding for a 15 trillion naira road project. One road, 700 kilometers, 15 trillion. 1 kilometer of that road, we are told, will cost 4 billion naira. And don't also forget that in the event of another spike in inflation, this 15 trillion may end up being 30 trillion. So I think it's not a priority project as far as I'm concerned, because there is an existing road infrastructure linking Lagos to Calabar.
All right. I guess you're talking about the east-west road. Yeah, I guess you're talking about the east-west road, Mr. Joe. But a report reaching us right here at News Central Television says the demolition, like we already have said, has begun. But a video obtained this evening by News Central Television shows a bulldozer bringing down part of the fence of the landmark facility. You can see that on our screen, part of the fence of the landmark facility is being brought down, by the contractor, construction company, High Tech. That's what's shown on your screen, I believe. They may be bringing to an end weeks of negotiations and public concerns on how to achieve government's aim while still preserving the heavy private investments at the resort and along the coastal line. What are your thoughts on this as you see that part of the fence is being brought down of that facility?
Well, construction must first be preceded by little destruction. Whether we like it or not, there's no construction you want to do that you won't have to destroy something.
No, but the reason I'm asking, Mr. John, sorry to interrupt, I'm so sorry, sir. The Minister of Works, when he visited that facility, did say that there will be no effect on the investment there, that their property will not be touched, apart from what is on the coastal line, on the shore.
Obviously now it was a political statement because, as we have seen, the property is being touched. But as I said earlier on, when you want to do things like this, compensation should precede demolition, not after. Because by demolishing the fence, the perimeter fence of that facility, you are exposing that facility to marauders. The whole essence of having a perimeter fence is to protect whatever and whoever is inside that building. So when you now bring down the perimeter fence, as we are seeing in that footage, it then means that you have made the owners of that property very vulnerable. And if it's a lounge or hotel facility or whatever it is, people will be skeptical to go and lodge in that kind of facility. Again, political speak. I am just more concerned about this not being a top priority. You mentioned East-West Road. That had been on for over 30 years. It has not been completed. Why are we in a hurry to put 15 trillion into just one road project from Lagos to Cross River? Why can't we use that quantum of resources to fix the East-West Road as well as even other federal roads? If you go into 2024 budget of the Federal Ministry of Works, the entire budget of Federal Ministry of Works, I am not sure it's up to 1 trillion. The total budget for 2024. So now you are shopping for 15 trillion for just 700 kilometers of road. I don't know whether that is wisdom or whether there's wisdom in what the government is doing. But who am I? Maybe I'm not well informed. Maybe I'm not well briefed. But I am of the considered view that there are other top priority projects. If it's a rail line that we are building from Lagos to Calabar, there is no existing rail line. I would say yes, that is welcome. But there is already a road network from Lagos through Delta through to Bayelsa and then down to Cross River. At least people who are going to those who are from Cross River State, they've not been using canoe or boat or flight to access their states. They've been using road. So why don't we fix the existing road infrastructure, maintain these roads with this 15 trillion, rather than committing this 15 trillion to just build 700 kilometers of road? And like I said, it's going to take 8 years. And as we are told, this 8 years, we are not too sure whether the Tinubu administration will win the election in 2027. So what then becomes if a new administration comes in? We know of a railway line that Chibika Amici facilitated that will cross to Maradi in Niger Republic.
Right.
Now, Buhari is no longer the president of Nigeria. Do you think Tinubu will spend resources like that?
Okay, Mr. Joe, we have to leave it at that. It's quite interesting. So many questions to ask regarding this project, but we will have to leave it at that for now. I want to thank you so very kindly for your time.
My pleasure.
Climate advocates have called for collective effort to address the challenge of plastic pollution, which has continued to plague the world, posing threat to our waterways and marine life. They also call for the implementation of climate change laws in the country as part of efforts to protect future generations. Idong Joseph reports.
Plastic pollution is becoming a global concern as over 10 million metric tons of plastic waste make their way into the ocean annually. This poses a significant threat to marine life and human health. In 2022 alone, the global production of plastics increased by about 1.6% from the previous year and have reached a staggering 400.3 million metric tons. The rate of production has continued to increase despite the growing awareness of the dangers plastic waste can cause.
I don't think we need to look far. We're already facing those dangers right now because climate change did not just creep up on us. Like in Nigeria, the heat wave we're experiencing now, this is not the first time we're experiencing a heat wave, but this is like the worst one we've had in years. Same with the flooding.
Without the earth, there's nowhere to run for election. Without the earth, there will be no place to run ideas or create innovations or even manufacture products and services.
To take action against the challenges threatening our environments, some climate advocates called for collective efforts to reduce plastic waste in order to protect the earth.
Whether you are a food vendor, whether you are a tech entrepreneur, whether you are a church, whether you are a mosque, whether you are a government or you are into manufacturing or pharmaceuticals, there must be a department or there must be an initiative in your organization that talks about climate.
We can use our voices to advocate for better choices and, cleanups, planting of trees, and just making sure that our daily actions add up together to make sure that this planet is protected and secure.
As the world marks the International Earth Day, countries around the world have been tasked to protect the Earth and help mitigate the effects of climate change.
We need to start implementing some of these policies and say, look, we're reducing how you issue nylons out, start charging people for nylons so that people come with their shopping bags and they can buy their groceries and just bring their shopping bags for themselves.
The event also creates an opportunity for young people to engage and come up with innovative solutions aimed at helping create a world free from plastic waste. In Abuja for News Central, I am Idonk Joseph.
Welcome back. Let's turn our attention to Central Africa, where many young Chadians are expressing their hopes for political change through current Prime Minister of the transition government, Success Masra. The presidential candidate on Sunday arrived at a campaign rally in the city of Mundu, where he is greeted by a huge crowd of supporters. Elections are scheduled to be held on the 6th of May 2024, with a second round, if necessary, to be held on the 22nd of June 2024. The elections will follow a constitutional referendum held on the 17th of December 2023, following the death of President Idris Deby in 2021.
Transparente. Nous voulons que les choses soient claires au vu de tout le monde. Le bien du peuple doit rester pour le peuple. Ce n'est plus d'abord un bien individuel ni privé. Donc, on en a marre même, c'est trop. Oui, au départ j'étais dessus, mais après j'ai compris que la politique, c'est ça. Avant de prendre la tête du gouvernement, il faut absolument être dans le, comment dirais, dans la ministère pour voir et comprendre tout ce qui se passe. Donc, ça c'est pas une grande chose. C'est pas étonnant, alors tout à fait normal. Ce sont les règles, donc c'est sa logique à lui-même. Nous, maintenant, on a désigné notre président. On l'a déjà élu. Donc on n'attend rien que le jour J. Rien que le jour J.
Il y a de cela 3 décennies. C'est les mêmes choses qui se répètent. Toujours des résultats corrompus. Et cela ne résout pas aux problèmes et aux attentes de la population tchadienne. C'est des mêmes choses. Et aujourd'hui, les gens ont peur. Les gens sont opprimés, en fait.
Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas has issued a dire warning, stating that only the United States of America has the power to prevent a potential Israeli invasion on Rafah. President Abbas delivered this judgment or urgent message during his speech at the World Economic Forum's special meeting in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, where he emphasized the catastrophic consequences of such an invasion, labeling it the biggest disaster in Palestinian history. President Abbas made a direct plea to the United States, urging them to intervene and halt any potential operation in Rafah. He stressed that the U.S. holds the key to preventing Israel from committing what he described a crime against the Palestinian people. As tensions escalate in the region, President Abbas's plea highlights the urgent need for diplomatic intervention to prevent further escalation.
ما يجري في غزة وما سيجري خلال الأيام القادمة هو ما ستقوم به إسرائيل من اجتياح مدينة رفح، لأن جميع الفلسطينيين من أهل غزة تجمعوا في مدينة رفح، وبقي ضربة صغيرة فقط لكي يخرجوا جميعا خارج إطار هذا، وهنا تحصل أكبر كارثة في تاريخ الشعب الفلسطيني. ناشد أمريكا، الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية، بالإيعاز أو بالطلب من إسرائيل أن تتوقف عن عملية رفح، لأن أمريكا هي الدولة الوحيدة القادرة على أن تمنع إسرائيل من ارتكاب هذه الجريمة.
The Economist has released the 38th edition of its forward-looking production, The World Ahead 2024, in an event organized by CT Productions. The event, with several business leaders and captains of industry in attendance, allowed participants to glean how businesses were making or navigating domestic and global headwinds. News Central's Petro Fasumi Peter was there and filed in this report.
Indeed, optimism is in short supply this year. And as we report in our pages, that extends to the economic prospects for sub-Saharan Africa.
Represented by his special advisor on sustainable development goals, the Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu commended CT for choosing Lagos, describing the publication as an annual compass.
The World Ahead 2024 is an annual report that serves as a vital compass, guiding us through the complexities of the ever-shifting global landscape. To enhance our economic state, a multi-pronged approach is necessary, focusing on investment, education, and building a resilient and inclusive system.
Setting the tone for the conversations, the managing director of CT Productions, Camelia Oros, said Nigeria is gaining momentum towards long-term financial gains. She also added that Africa remains determined to pave its way towards recovery.
The continent is squarely placed as the world's second fastest growing region, trailing only behind Asia. Nigeria's efforts to diversify away from its reliance on its black gold, coupled with sustained policy reforms, efficient budget implementation, and strategic resource reallocation, may finally yield fruitful outcomes and pave the way for a robust recovery by 2025.
Business leaders at the event also shared their experiences, highlighting the major economic challenges they were faced with and what their outlook for the year is.
There's always disruptions here and there, and we've seen them with COVID, we've seen them with the Ukraine war, we've seen them continually throughout. So I think it's a greater imperative that you are closer to the consumer, closer to the markets that you serve, and that you have a very strong and robust supply chain to support it.
Most critical challenge for every business has been, from the impact of inflation, the change in government, and the attendant, consequences that usually will come with that, and the volatility in the currency.
I think the policies the government are making in the mid to long term are the right ones for the country. So we think that that's going to play out, especially as they're able to bring in more supply of foreign currency into the economy and meet the demand that we have on ground.
The World Ahead 2024 identifies several key themes for the year, including upcoming elections in various economic powerhouse nations, the ongoing Middle East tensions, advancements in artificial intelligence, and a shift in the global energy landscape. Now, by being aware of these trends, businesses and governments can be better equipped to navigate the year ahead. In Lagos, for News Central, Perpetua Fasumi Peter.
For more, let's join our business desk for the rest of the business news.
The exchange rates for cargo clearance has dropped below official and parallel market rates to 1,164 naira 84 kobo to a dollar, according to the latest update on the Nigeria Customs Services Exchange Rate portal. The current customs exchange rate of 1,164 naira 84 kobo is below the reported rates on both official and parallel markets. On Saturday, the naira closed at 1,280 naira to a dollar on the unofficial window, representing a gain of 8.7% compared to the figure for Friday, which was 1,400 naira to the greenback. However, on the official window, the naira closed at 1,339 naira 23 kobo to a dollar on Friday, indicating a depreciation from the value reported the previous day. It was earlier reported a hike of 11% in the exchange rate for customs import duties to 1,277 naira 52 kobo to a dollar 2 days ago, following naira depreciation over the week. President Paul Kagame of Rwanda on Sunday has said the world should invest with and in Africa, given that it is a natural resource and human capital endowed continent. He made the remarks during the World Economic Forum's opening plenary session on the new vision for global development that discussed how to reignite the momentum of development and economic convergence. Kagame said Africa is a very important geographical part of the world, not only resources but the people. Therefore, the rest of the world must look at Africa as an important entity to develop affairs with in areas of politics and economy. Egypt's food exports reached 210,000 tons in the week ended on April 26 compared to a week earlier, the cabinet announced on Sunday, citing data from the National Food Safety Authority. The exported products boasted a remarkable variety. Over 550 types of fresh fruits and vegetables were included, alongside various processed food items, as per the statement. Potatoes topped the list of the exported vegetables last week with 30,000 tons, followed by fresh onion of 11,000 tons, and beans secured the third spot with 5,000 tons. In total, 60 different types of vegetables were exported, reaching a combined weight of approximately 60,000 tons. And that's all on business news. Many thanks for watching. I am Lekon Onabanjo.
Thank you, Leka. For now, let's talk sports. Next is sports news.
In sport, Naomi Chebet of Kenya made a spectacular international debut by clinching her first international city marathon win at the prestige Madrid Marathon. Clocking an impressive time of 2 hours 26.20, Chebet outpaced a competitive field in Spain's capital. This victory is a landmark achievement for Chebet, who last year took the title at the Nairobi City Marathon. Trailing behind Chebet was Ethiopia's Bontu Bekele, who finished the race in 2 hours 27.04 seconds. Bekele's performance was strong, but she could not close the gap on Chebet in the final kilometers. Kebni Chala, another Ethiopian athlete, secured the third spot on the podium with a time of 2 hours 27.30 seconds. Away from athletics, now to football, where the Referee Development Committee of the Nigerian Football Federation has suspended central referee Tijani Usman Majidadi from officiating in the Nigerian Premier Football League. Majidadi incurred the wrath of the committee following his poor handling of the NPFL encounter between Rivers United and Katsina United in Port Harcourt. According to the NFF, the decision of the central referee adversely affected not only the outcome of the game, but contradicts the provisions of the laws of the game. Recall that the Pride of Rivers won the game 2-0 as one of the outstanding games. And out to football in Europe, Inter Milan began the official Serie A title party on Sunday as the newly crowned champions set off on a parade around their home city after a straightforward 2-0 win over 10-man Torino. Supporters lined the streets around the San Siro as the team slowly set off on a 4-hour jaunt, their passage away from the stadium hampered by a huge crowd hailing their heroes who won the Scudetto with 5 matches to spare. Inter Milan players and staff ride on open-top buses surrounded by clouds of blue smoke. Most of those fans were denied the chance to see Inter win their 20th league championship in the flesh on Monday night as they beat local rivals AC Milan as the away team in a trailing local derby. And to wrap up sports update, Arsenal put up a fine performance in London to secure a 3-2 victory over Tottenham Hotspur in the Premier League. The Gunners, who are looking to win the Premier League at the expense of Manchester City, survived the late fight back from Tottenham. With a win, Arsenal go 1 point clear at top of the Premier League, with second place Manchester City securing a 2-0 win away at Nottingham Forest. Goals in each half from Josko Vardiol and Erling Haaland secured the victory for Pep Guardiola's men. Arsenal took ruthless advantage of Spurs' defensive flaws to establish a 3-goal lead by halftime. An own goal from Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, a second by Bukayo Saka, and a third goal from Kai Havertz saw the Mikel Arteta side cruising after 38 minutes. But in a game of 2 halves, Tottenham put up a spirited fight back as Christian Romero pulled one back in the 64th minute before Son Heung-min converted a spot kick on the 87th minute. The hosts pushed for a late equalizer, but Arsenal stood strong and held on to all 3 points to keep their title pursuit very much alive. And that wraps it up on Sports Update. I am Favour Itwa.
A good weekend for Ghanaians all over the world. Well, on that note, we come to the end of the news at this hour. But before we go, let's take a look at some of the major stories tonight. We told you that Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu has mourned victims of a tanker fire incident in River State. Motorists are fuming as fuel scarcity worsens despite the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited's assurances. We also brought you news that Chadian students are hopeful for change ahead of the presidential poll in that country. We'd like to hear from you. Please send us your eyewitness reports using the WhatsApp number or email address showing on your screen. Also give us a follow on social media. We're at News Central Television or News Central TV. You can watch us live on any of these channels or platforms. Hey, thanks for your time tonight. My name is Kofi Bartels. Good night.